Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Rob Ellis joins the show today from Sports Take on Jacob Media, which you can catch on Jacob Media if you're watching this show already on Jacob Media. Just hang out for Birds 365 at 8 because John McMullen will join the show tomorrow. Rob Ellis today. Talk all things draft, talk all things Philadelphia sports scene, talk all things sports in general. It's going to be a good time. We got Jalen Hurts to talk about today as he reacts to his mega huge Kajunga contract signing in his nice suit. And I just continue to think that every single thing Jalen Hurts says is pure gold. And it, like, if we didn't experience him for 3 years and he just kind of came in here, we would think he's full of crap because it's too good. It's just too damn good what he has to say. But he's not. He is the genuine article. So we'll get into that. We'll let you hear really the top 3 things he said from his press conference yesterday, because it was just pure poetry is what it was. We'll let you hear from Jalen Hurts. Let you hear from Rob Ellis. And we'll talk a little bit about that Jimmy Butler character, because he dropped 56 points last night. He dropped 50. Jimmy Butler in a playoff game against the Milwaukee Bucks, the 1 seed, against the 8 seed Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler dropped 56 points in a playoff game to help the Heat move on to the 3-1 series lead over the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, Giannis Antetokounmpo has been hurt and banged up, all this stuff, but 56 points by the 33-year-old Jimmy Butler. If the Sixers do get eliminated by the Boston Celtics, it will be another season of still very much being true that in the future, when hopefully I'm an old man and I'm speaking to my litter of grandchildren, I hope that the story, when they ask me, Papa, tell me about the process. I hope that I don't have to look at them and go, well, kids, Jimmy Butler killed the process. Who's Jimmy Butler? And they'll gather around. I will tell you who Jimmy Butler is, because he still feels like the card in the house of cards that was removed and it all came tumbling down. And we were doomed to second round playoff exits forever. Is that why the Sixers still haven't made it out of the second round? Yes. Mark Albert Thomas Aquinas II. That is why the Sixers have not made it out of the second round. But the year is 2060. Yes, I am aware. I caught some of that game last night, and Jimmy Butler was just it was every play. Jimmy Butler was just an absolute monster. And yeah, I saw the tweets about Ben Simmons and the comparisons of Ben Simmons. Yeah. The Sixers weren't going to move on from him. But you know who knew? Jimmy Butler knew. Jimmy Butler was looking at Ben Simmons going, nope, not that guy. Like, I want to win more than anything. And I'm looking at a guy that's just happy to be here. That's supposed to be a leader. That's supposed to be a real all-star. That's supposed to be a guy that could be LeBron James if he developed a jump shot. And I'm the guy over here willing to do anything to win. And I'm looking at a guy right over there that's just like, hey, I'm dating a Jenner. Like, what? No, I don't want that. Yeah, I'm supposed to win with that guy? Him or me? And this Brett Brown character? Really? You guys serious about this? Nah, I'll see you. Deuces. And then they signed Tobias Harris because Elton Brand, of course, couldn't lose both the guys he traded for during the season with the asset unloading that he did during that brief time he was a general manager with final say over the roster. So, yeah, I watched Jimmy Butler last night and thought to myself, if the Sixers do get bounced out of the second round of the playoffs by the Celtics again, then it still is Jimmy Butler completely ruining the process. Thank you, Jimmy. 33 years old, 56 points. I know 33 years old isn't supposed to be ancient, but, it's a young man's game, as they say, and Jimmy Butler still looks like he's 25. God bless that man. And you know why that is? Because he works his ass off and he's friends with Mark Wahlberg. I don't know what has to do with the other, but I'm pretty sure they're both guys that keep in really good shape. Anyway, the Heat won the game last night, 119-114. We'll get more into that a little bit later, I'm sure, in the chat check when I hear all about Ben Simmons again. Jalen Hurts, the more I hear from him, the more I just love this guy. And I know I've joked about it before, but whatever that guy's got between his ears, we want every single athlete to have what Jalen Hurts has. Ben Simmons did not have that type of attitude, now that Ben Simmons is in my head, but Jalen Hurts is the exact guy we want wearing our team's uniforms. I mean, you can look at a guy like Bryce Harper wearing that Phillies uniform. He's the exact guy that we want in that uniform, that type of intensity, that type of passion, that loving of winning, and above all else, that absolute just despising the idea of losing, just hating losing. In this city, it's like we really love guys that hate to lose as much as we do, and winning is nice. Like, winning is nice, but losing, oh, just forget about horrible taste. There's just something about losing that just drives a player crazy, and it certainly drives Jalen Hurts crazy. And when I was watching him yesterday, and I was listening to Jeffrey Lurie do his opening, whatever it was, 10 minutes, talking about how much he was just in love with Jalen Hurts, and he's gushing over Jalen Hurts. And I'm listening to Jeffrey Lurie, and I'm like, yeah, he's great. He's amazing. Yeah, I feel the same way. He's just fantastic. Usually I'm like rolling my eyes and stuff like that, but it's so ridiculously genuine with Jalen Hurts. And I think what Jeffrey Lurie feels about Jalen Hurts is exactly that, just genuine. Absolute genuine feelings about his quarterback and investing his franchise into his quarterback. You are going to be our guy. I don't remember much of that after Carson Wentz's rookie season. I remember Jeffrey Lurie. Remember them standing on the practice field? All right, North Dakota kid, you ready to sling it? Like, we used it as a drop when I was on the radio all the time. Yeah, all right, North Dakota kid. And I just remember thinking, this feels so forced and so weird. I just feel gross. But with Jalen Hurts, it feels so damn right. It feels like such the perfect match for this city, where all we care about is whether or not this guy is going to win us football games, whether or not he is going to bring us a championship, whether or not he's going to bring us championships. But here's what we know. At the age of 24, he's already been an All-Pro. He's already taken the team to a Super Bowl. He's been a runner-up in the MVP race, and all the while has maintained the same type of level-headedness and determination that he had going into last offseason, that he was just going to prove to people that he could be a starting franchise quarterback in the NFL. So what did he do? Well, he accomplished all the things already listed out there, including being an MVP candidate, including going to a Super Bowl, and solidified himself with a long-term deal as the franchise quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. I'd say he proved that he is absolutely the guy, and I think most people are believing that he's the genuine article, that when he says all he's going to do is work hard, and how all this does is motivate him more, and how the main thing is still the main thing, which is winning championships. That is still his focus. $180 million guaranteed, fully guaranteed. And this guy is just getting back to work. Literally said that yesterday. After he signed, $110 million fully guaranteed, $180 guaranteed over the course of the 5-year deal. But this guy literally said that when he found out the deal was done, he went back to working out. They called him, interrupted his workout. How dare they? If his spiral is just tight enough, it's going to be because he was FaceTiming with Nick Sirianni. I was like, I just got to tell you, Jalen, I love you. I just great. I love you. You're great. You're amazing. Now you do. All right. That's just what I took away from him talking about how his workout got interrupted because he had to sign a $255 million contract. He just wants to get back to work, and he just wants to be the best. And I'm listening to all this yesterday, and it's stuff that we've heard before, everything except for the contract conversation. And this is the exact guy that we want, with the exact type of mindset that we want in Philadelphia. Winning's nice. Money's nice. Championships are better. I just want to get back to work. I'm going to keep working. This doesn't change anything. The main thing's the main thing. And this is a guy that is leading a locker room at 24 years old, leading a team to an NFC title and a Super Bowl appearance. And Rob Ellis, just to tease a little bit of what we talk about in the interview, Rob Ellis makes a phenomenal point about how the veteran players in this locker room last year were quoting Jalen Hurts. Guys like Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, like they were looking to then 23-year-old Jalen Hurts and quoting him. These guys had won a Super Bowl, and they're looking at a guy who's still trying to prove himself in the NFL as a leader. That lets you know. It's the little things that matter the most as you go through life, folks. All right? It's the little things. And things like that are very interesting. And Rob Ellis points that out and talks about it in depth during his interview for today's show. So it's an interesting thing that we'll get into a little bit later. But without further ado, this is Jalen Hurts yesterday talking about how the contract doesn't change anything, folks.
About these moments, and I think about these times. And he said it's an exciting moment. It's an exciting moment. This moment right here. But I think I've set the precedent for what it is that I desire. And I think for me, it's so hard because my mind's everywhere, and I just really can't help but keep the main thing, and what I set out to do, and what this organization has set out to do. And the only thing that I've ever wanted to do is be the best version of myself. And that hasn't changed. That won't change.
Is that not what we asked for everybody? It really is. I mean, like I reference this a lot because I think it's probably the best thing ever said about an athlete in Philadelphia. When Jeffrey Lurie said that Jalen Hurts has a phenomenal dedication to being excellent, like that is amazing. It's so true with this guy. I believe it. Usually if you hear things like this, you're like, oh, this is too good to be true. This guy can't mean it, whatever. Oh, he means it. He absolutely means it. Talked about having mixed emotions after getting $110 million fully guaranteed. All right. I can't tap into his brain, but my only thought was, if you have mixed emotions about this, could it be that
about these moments, and I think about these times?
It triggered that. That was me pushing a button. I shouldn't push buttons. Not that I wouldn't listen to that again, because I would. But it's like what could be the mixed emotion, the negative part of it? The only thing that crossed my brain here is like he is so unbelievably genuine about his work ethic, about his craft, about how much he hates to lose, about how much he loves to work. He is so dedicated to that, and it's so genuine. Could a deal like this make people think he'll lose focus? So I have mixed emotions about it. And then he didn't really go into detail about why he had mixed emotions. And he was just like, no, but I am happy, because he didn't want to come off sounding bad, like $110 million, oh, whatever. But I've never seen a guy sign a contract like this and go, can I get back to work? Like, just like sign. Can I do an e-document? Can we do e-signature? Like, I've never seen a guy do that and then immediately, like, can I get back to work? Like it was an inconvenience. I got to sign this long-term deal. Everything I've worked for is right here to solidify myself as a franchise quarterback. Can I get back to work now? That's exactly what we wanted a quarterback. That's exactly what we wanted every single athlete. If every single athlete like this in Philadelphia, if every single athlete spoke like this in Philadelphia, like, we'd be smitten with everybody, just like I'm smitten with Jalen Hurts. And how about this? I don't think it's any accident that they held the press conference yesterday, not just because, the mini camp start up and all that stuff, but it's 3 years ago to the day that the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round after already signing Carson Wentz to a long-term deal with a boatload of guaranteed money. That's incredible. And I don't think it's any accident that that's the way the schedule worked out. But Jalen Hurts coming out there and, saying, thanks for drafting me 3 years ago, and not a lot of people understood what you guys were doing. You know what I'd love to hear? I'd love to hear from Howie Roseman what they were doing. Did they had to have had some kind of idea that either Carson Wentz wasn't going to be good, Carson Wentz was going to hit a wall, or they were just sick of Carson Wentz for whatever reason, whether that be in the locker room, whether that be on the field, whatever it might be. And they took a guy who played at Alabama, who was pretty good, and then played at Oklahoma, which is pretty good, and they drafted him in the second round and thought, oh, yeah, we're going to have a backup and then maybe flip him in a couple years. Because I don't think that was the goal. And I know at the time, people really jumped on. Just because they draft a quarterback doesn't mean that it's his backup. Or it doesn't mean that there's a quarterback competition. Carson Wentz's team. A lot of people like that. And I don't think so. I think the Eagles were just sick of Carson Wentz's you-know-what. And if anything hit the fan, which it did, they didn't win. And he was injured a lot. And just things started to light itself on fire in that last year of Doug Peterson. And the Eagles just said, yeah, we got a guy right here, so it's convenient. And then next thing you know, they're in the Super Bowl. Pretty incredible. So when Jalen Hurts said the thing yesterday about a lot of people didn't understand it, I'm like, there's still some things that I'd like to understand just about that story. Not that I need closure or anything. I'm just curious. What was the point of drafting Jalen Hurts at that time? Don't get me wrong. We all see why you would do it now because the guy's awesome. But at the time, to rewind it for a second, were they just sick of it? With the Carson Wentz regime, if you will? And then, oh, if anything falters further, we got the guy right here. I'm curious to know the rest of that story. But something else that Jalen Hurts said yesterday that I found great, and this is the story that I was alluding to earlier. Jalen Hurts was asked about kind of in the hours leading up to the deal getting done. What was he doing? What does he remember? And this is what Jalen Hurts had to say about it. This is fantastic.
Yeah, I was out west working out. They let me know. I had my FaceTime calls with my coaches and Mr. Lurie, Howie. And I went back to work. I mean, I didn't really have anything crazy going on.
Yeah. Okay. We signed it? Okay. For the people on the podcast, I just did a phenomenal pantomime of throwing a football, as if to say I'm Jalen Hurts, signing my deal, while still FaceTiming, I'm resuming my workout. Don't interrupt me while I'm working out to tell me that I'm signing a $255 million deal. What is wrong with you? I love it. I love to see it. And then this is the cherry on top. This is the cherry on top, man. Signs this big deal. Highest paid player in football, average annual salary all of a sudden for Jalen Hurts. And here's his response to it.
Yeah, I think money is nice. Championships are better.
How do you not love this guy? I actually, whenever I develop a bromance with an athlete, a man crush, whatever it might be, or I think somebody is a genuine article and I tend to gush over them. Like I almost feel like maybe I should dial it back a little bit because, maybe it won't work out. It's Carson Wentz. You got scored by Carson Wentz. And I'm just like, when there's a model citizen, when there is somebody that you look at and you go, if more people were like that, we'd be much better off as a society, right? Well, in the society of Philadelphia sports, if everyone acted like Jalen Hurts, if everyone held themselves accountable like Jalen Hurts, if everyone worked like Jalen Hurts, if everyone said what Jalen Hurts said, if everyone sounded like Jalen Hurts, we'd be much better off as a sports city if we had more athletes like Jalen Hurts. Because he says and does things that we want every single athlete to do here in Philadelphia. Accountability, he'll put things on himself. Work ethic, off the charts. And what he has done through last offseason to now is spectacular. And I am so unbelievably curious to see how he attacks this next season. Got the money. He's got the players in front of him. He's got solid offensive line yet again. Defense still has some questions. Like, who's your linebacker right now? Who's playing linebacker for you right now? And you got a draft to go through, of course. So there's a lot to go through in this offseason. But when it comes to Jalen Hurts, it feels good to know that you look in that backfield and you know you have a quarterback. So if the defense is terrible, if the defense doesn't fill holes that they have right now, if Sean Desai is in over his head, and I don't think he will be, but I'm just saying if, you got a quarterback, man. And maybe more than any other sport, maybe a goaltender in hockey. You got a great one of those, and they can cover up a lot of other problems. Winning's a great deodorant. Oh, we got some problems. Yeah, but you're still winning. So that's good. I have a lot of trust and faith in Jalen Hurts, unlike I did with Carson Wentz going into his final year here in Philadelphia. And I think this franchise, and it goes without saying when you talk about the money, really shows you that they got their trust and faith in Jalen Hurts 1,000 times more than they did with Carson Wentz. So I can't wait for the season to start already. Minicamp ain't enough. Minicamp ain't enough. Let me tell you about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, in the corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. For over 40 years, Steven Singer has been in the love business in Philadelphia, helping people get engaged and fall in love. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price. The perfect price online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, talk all things draft, all things Philadelphia sports scene with my good friend, Mr. Rob Ellis, making his first appearance on the Farzy show. Here's Rob. Joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line from Sports Take, from WIP Radio, and Rob, I'm not kidding you. I said this during yesterday's show. I'm going to tell you to your face. The most knowledgeable person, maybe about sports, definitely about Philadelphia sports, that I've ever come across. And I don't say that about anybody except Rob Ellis. Rob, welcome in.
Mark, thank you. That's a high. Now I can only fail from here. I mean, it can only go down from here after you set it up that high. Now I'm like, I'm getting a straw to breathe, in the middle of the sea right now. Yes.
Well, we'll go right to the humbling. So are you and your son, like, are you guys working on basketball drills now in the driveway? How's that working out?
Clearly, with the way that we played, we both need a lot of work in our charity game, which we lost. But I don't know. There's some weird scorekeeping going on, and I don't know, was it a tie? I don't know what happened exactly.
I think Barrett Brooks' son-in-law, or soon hopefully son-in-law, I don't know how, daughter's boyfriend. I think he was one of
questions as far as
I don't whatever. He says to me, he was like a ringer on our team, and he goes, oh, they messed up the score, and I go, let me tell you a little something about that score. It's yeah.
I think early in the game, they were giving them like 5 points for certain buckets. So I don't really feel that bad about the way it ended. Let's just leave it at that.
And I agree. Yeah. The Spring Union, they do a hell of a job. And through Jacob Media, we're just honored to be on the same court as those guys.
We're all one big family.
Exactly. Great guys. Rob, what has been the buzz on Sports Talk about this draft? Are people expecting a big splash move here with Howie Roseman and the Eagles? Are they expecting something along the lines of a offensive lineman or someone in his rookie year that will be like a third-string cornerback? What are people saying about the draft on Sports Take?
I think they're expecting some combination of like a cannonball, can opener, smash, everybody gets soaked who's laying out on the side. You know it is. You're laying there trying to get some sun and you're like, what just happened? I think they're expecting that. I mean, I'm talking from a fan perspective. I don't see this as, hey, I'd be really happy if we strengthened up the trenches and get Skoronski. I don't see people I'm okay with that. I don't see people viewing it that way, Mark. There's been such a fervor build up in everybody about Bijan Robinson that I think anything less. Now, look, if it ends up being Jalen Carter or Will Anderson, then that'll mitigate that. Yeah. But if it's something else, if it's Nolan Smith, if it's Skoronski, if it's one of the other Paris Johnson, I think people will be disappointed because we've been transported back to 1999 and it's Ricky Williams, Donovan McNabb, draw your lines. And here we go. It's crazy, but we're repeating that history 24 years later.
Yeah, I saw the report from Jesse Palmer of NFL Network who put it out there saying that there are other NFL teams or teams in the NFC East who don't want the Eagles to get Bijan Robinson. And I'm like, oh my God, like as if this machine needed another quarter put in it. I would be excited if they did it. It goes against all philosophy. It goes against cap. It goes against everything else. But the Eagles went against philosophy 3 years ago from yesterday at the time we aired this interview, and they drafted Jalen Hurts when they'd already signed Carson Wentz to a long-term deal. So to hell with philosophy, to hell with rational thinking.
Well, here's what I always say. Look, I don't think they'll do it. I'll go on record right now saying I don't think they will pull the trigger on Bijan. But you never know with Howie. Anytime you try to put him in a corner and you say this is what he's going to do, he always kind of zigs another way. So I think the notion that it's a lock they're not taking Bijan, I think that's an overstep. I think that's an overreach. Do I think it's likely? No, I don't. Here's why, Mark. Because you can get good enough at that position later. Like Saquon Barkley's great, but can I survive with another, guy who's a pretty good running back? Can I survive with Miles Sanders? Can I get to a Super Bowl with Miles Sanders? Yes. Can the Chiefs win with Isaiah Pacheco? Yes. Does that mean he's as talented as Saquon Barkley? No, but you can still win that way. That's the way I view it. Like if I'm sitting there at 10, now it's different if you trade back and there's a lot of craziness, and we all know that. You got to see what happens here. You're moving back, maybe you could justify it a little bit. I think you can maybe make that case for Skoronski too if he's a guard. If you consider him a guard, maybe you want to move back if you're going to do that. But if you move back, that's one thing. If you're sitting there at 10, for me at least, here's what I'm trying to do, Mark. I'm trying to move up. Take 30. Let's go 30 and 10. Let's get up. If you vetted Jalen Carter properly, you believe in him, there's not going to be off the field nonsense. If you do, forget it. That's out. Get up. Get him. Now, I think Will Anderson's a real pipe dream. I've been throwing Will Anderson out there, but you're going to have to get to 3. That's not happening. But I am all in on trying to get Jalen Carter if I can possibly get him. And what I'll do later, I'll try to get a Gibbs. I'll try to get a Charbonnet or somebody like that who's still going to come in and be really, really good. I'm not pulling the trigger on Bijan, but like you said, am I mad at that? First of all, as a talk show host, I'm thanking the content guys, right? But secondly, as a fan, it's kind of fun to think about, right? So I would not be disappointed or bummed out. It wouldn't be a Danny Watkins, Marcus Smith reaction.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you there. Do the Eagles make a selection at 30? Do you think they stay there at 30, make that pick? Or do you think that's going to be coupled with a trade, either for more draft picks or maybe a proven veteran, maybe somebody that can help you in the safety position, maybe something like that, maybe another splash like that? What do you think they do with 30?
Highly likely it gets moved because I just don't see them going from the 3rd round to the 7th round, with their picks. That's the way it's set up right now. I just don't see that. I think Howie will trade down. I think it's probably better value financially for them to pay a little bit less if you're going to be paying all this money to Jalen Hurts with a 2nd rounder rather than a 1st rounder. The one name, though, I would really hope if he's still there and they're at 30 and they haven't made the move yet. Let's say you're at 27 and the guy's still sitting there. I really like Brian Branch of Alabama. And I think he's safety help that you could use right away. He could plug you. Man, you're really thin there. I mean, it's a little scary. Terrell Edmonds and Blankenship. And, I know you're late at linebacker too, but if Branch is there, I would really like to see them stay there potentially, Mark. If not, I'm fine with them moving down. That's really where you could end up grabbing your running back if you do move down to that 2nd round.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you there. I love Brian Branch's game. Everything you read about him as far as his off the field stuff, when it comes to leadership and maturity, it's all right there for him. So you mentioned the word pipe dream a second ago when talking about Will Anderson Jr., and I'm right there with you. I agree, but again, never put anything past Howie. The Buda Baker conversation draft week has started to calm down. Is there any shot that the Eagles would make a move to acquire Buda Baker?
How much of that is Arizona eating? Because they're not going to pay a safety I think it's $16 million off the top of my head. I forget exactly what the number is. It's very high.
$13 million, I think, for this upcoming season.
That's right, 13. And there are also Mark McMillan, who formerly played for the Eagles and is based out of Arizona. He's really down on Buda Baker's coverage skills. So that's also something to keep in mind. I would think that this would have to be a very cap favorable deal for the Eagles to be able to make. It seems like he wants out of there and he doesn't want a new deal or anything like that. He just wants out. Seems like everybody wants out of there. I think Gannon's in for not to go down a rabbit hole here, but I think they're going to be the worst team in football. I do. I think they're going to be that bad. But I think it's a possibility. I think it would have to become he would have to come really team friendly financially, but no way are they paying a safety that much right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, how about those Philly media members that during press conferences would just call for Jonathan Gannon's head, like Jimmy Kempski and Les Bowen and Dave Zingaro, Ruben Frank, just guys, we're going to call for his job today. Hey, coach, you should be fired, by the way. Just could you believe that? How did we miss that story?
Yeah, you know what? Like, and I defended him. I had the Gann wagon. I look, I was all in. Okay, I was all in. I heard that, and I'm like, you guys are in trouble with him. He's a weird character. Like, you can't have you better be like Mike McDaniel in Miami, smart, like Yale genius to be that weird.
Yeah.
And Gannon's a weird dude. And I don't know that that's going to work. Like, the thing is, this isn't the 1960s where you can say something in Arizona and it doesn't get back to Philly for like a week later.
Right.
We know everybody's going to pick everything apart because they were already on him. So you start off with that 9-0 thing. You weren't 9-0. Media members wanted to say, we want you fired. Nobody said that. I love it. This is what we're kind of done in 2023. Players do this all the time. It becomes, this is what you said about me. The you is some knucklehead on social media becomes the you, and it becomes the majority. No, it's not. Like, there were a couple people that didn't like how much you blitzed, but nobody in the media was saying, hey, coach, listen, before we get to how you guys throttled the Bears, we all want you fired, like collectively, each and every one of us want you. That would never happen. He's a different cat. He's in trouble out there.
I call that the fake take. When you like take one person and they're like, well, everyone is saying one person on Twitter doesn't even have an avatar. They just said that they want you fired, or a person at a press conference, whatever, never happened. All right. Jalen Hurts' press conference, I've never seen anyone. First off, I've never seen someone get handed $180 million guaranteed. Okay. Never seen that physically, but I've never seen someone get handed that money and then do a press conference and be like, yeah, that's nice, but let's get back to work. Like, it was the most nonchalant press conference for $180 million, $255 million, whatever you want to call it, deal I've ever seen. I've said this before, but if you could bottle whatever Jalen Hurts has, put it on a shelf, it would fly off the shelves faster than steroids in the 90s. That's what he's got, and it's incredible. I'm dazzled by this guy.
Think about, you're 24 and you were handed, $255 million, and you said you had mixed emotions about it. Like, what? My emotions would be anything but mixed. Okay. Yeah. I mean, but that's who this guy, he said at one point, he got the call from his agent, and I think the Eagles reached out too, like right after, whatever. He's in the middle of a workout. He's like, oh, okay. All right, cool. Okay, got it. Yeah, I got to finish my workout. We'll talk later. Like, I'm sorry. That might be the day you know what? I'm good on the workout today. I'm going to go at least go out to get something to eat or enjoy myself for a minute. Now, he's right back into it. But this is why you love him. He's a 24-year-old going on 54 in terms of maturity, right? And in terms of focus. And this is why you don't worry about this stuff a lot. See, you worry about two things in the NFL. One, you always worry about injuries, of course, and that's never going to change. But you worry that when you hand these guys these deals, they flake in some regard. Like, either they just become fat cats and they're buying cars and their houses, whatever, or they just become these sort of bizarre, like Carson Wentz type guys, and they alienate people. That's not going to happen with this guy. Like, the only thing you have to worry about is injury. You don't have to worry about anything else off the field with him. In fact, I think this will just make him more maniacal in his pursuit of becoming a better quarterback and the team winning. I truly believe that. Now he looks at it like, all right, I got that part taken care of, and they're counting on me, and the city's counting on me, and I got to work that much hard. I mean, at one point, it was so cool. They had Quez Watkins, they had Devontae Smith, a bunch of the other guys are all lined up in the back who were clearly like there, working out, but also there to support him. There's no, derision in this locker room. They are all one, and they all support this guy fully.
Mm-hmm. And you do a great job of being able to watch everything in the league. You do a phenomenal job with that, Rob. I don't hear the word culture used as nearly as often anywhere else. Like I hear it here in Philadelphia with everyone that came in. Everyone talks about the culture, and Jeffrey Lurie pointed to three people, really, Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman, but then also singled out, as you would assume, Jalen Hurts for being the leader of that culture in that locker room.
Well, here's what really impressed me. It wasn't even last year. It was the year before, Mark, at the end of the year, when Jason Kelsey and like Fletcher Cox and Lane Johnson and Brandon Graham were quoting a 22-year-old Jalen Hurts. I'm like, what is happening here? I think it's two things. One, he's that dynamic and that incredible of a leader. Two, they went from a situation where they knew their quarterback wasn't that guy, and they really appreciate what they have. And you see it in the way, I mean, honestly, the way they follow this guy. I mean, Lane Johnson gave props. Look, everybody's always heaping praise on Lane, rightfully so, for how great he is. But he also said one of the reasons I haven't given up a sack in whatever it's been, 2 years, is because this dude is able to get out of some jams sometimes if I get beat. Like, and it's not that fake, hey, happy for my guy.
Right. They really lay it on.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's sincere with all of these guys, and it's hard to win over veterans. It really is. This dude won them over from Jump Street, which told you a lot about him.
Mm-hmm. No question. We're ahead of the Sixers and most likely the Celtics facing each other in the dreaded second round of the playoffs. And surprise, Joel Embiid has an injury that's been nagging him, apparently. Where are you at with confidence level, Rob, and the 76ers being able to make it out of the second round of the playoffs finally?
What I like is I think this team has more character than they had before. I think they're a lot less likely to just fold tent if a situation arises that's going against them in a game. You have bench players like DeAnthony Melton, like Jalen McDaniels, these kind of guys who can legitimately help you. You have a toughness now that you didn't have with PJ Tucker. I think all of these things are big positives as far as the Sixers go. And I think that element, that culture, if you will, was missing from them the last few years. That said, here's the biggest fear. You just touched on it. We kept saying over and over again, can Embiid and Harden get to the finish line? Well, we're sitting here right now. We don't even know if Embiid can play game one. And then we also know that James Harden looks like a guy who's kind of just on fumes a little bit here. And if those two aren't great, like they have to be stellar for you to beat Boston. Maxey is the other piece of this thing. Here's the third part that worries me. 8 points per game against them in his career. If Tyrese Maxey averages 8 in the series, Mark, they're done. And they're probably going to be beaten in 4 or 5 games. He's got to be 18 to 20 Maxey, fearless. And Embiid's got to be better than just dragging the leg around. And Harden has got to be 20 and 10. If that's not the case, they have no prayer. If all those things work out, those 3 things with the other pieces, all the positive stuff that's good, I think they can, in fact, hang with them and win this series. It's going to be really hard because this team's their kryptonite. I think if they got Milwaukee or the Heat or anybody in the West, Mark, I think they could advance. I think this is the worst draw that they could get, this Boston team.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that the Nets in the first round were the best, and then the worst is just waiting there for them in the Boston Celtics. And I agree. And I think what you're saying, and I think what other people are saying, you got to be it's like you got to be damn near perfect to beat this Celtics team to finally get over that hump. I will say the one difference, other than what Joel Embiid could bring to the table, or James Harden, or even Tyrese Maxey, isn't this why you got PJ Tucker? Playoff PJ, defense, hard nose, knowing what it takes to win, showing everybody else how you're supposed to win and get past the team. I almost look at PJ Tucker as the X factor going into this series.
Let me throw one more thing in there that I think may be interesting. It could go either way. It could really work against them or for them. I don't know. But Joe Mazzulla has done a really good job with the Celtics, taking over in an awkward situation, and done a great job, to say the least.
Yeah, really.
Does at any point does he look like a rookie coach? Like, we haven't seen it yet, and we may just say this dude was ready, and boom, here you go. Doc Rivers, for whatever all his faults, has at least been in these moments before. For the Sixers, it hasn't really been a great thing, but he's been here before. Is this the series where we say this is why you got Doc Rivers? It's the only little caveat I'll throw out there. I know Sixers fans hear that, they're like, give me a break. But maybe, and I know it's a bit of a reach, but maybe that factor comes into play a little bit.
Yeah, hey, look, I have been there with everybody else when it comes to criticism of Doc Rivers, but this year, yes, I think Doc's he's done a nice job. With the one exception that I'll say is that the Maxey coming off the bench thing was like just mind-numbing. But everything else, I mean, it's hard. You got probably the MVP of the league, the leader in assists, another 50-plus win season, a 3 seed. It's hard to look at Doc and be like, well, he sucks. Well, this team did well. Team did well.
Well, and I think one other thing to give him credit for, Mark, is begrudgingly, at least, he finally realized that Paul Reed's the backup center. Okay.
Yeah,
and
sure.
You don't fall off a cliff now when you have to substitute and beat out. Like, Paul Reed's done a nice job for them. So, that too.
Absolutely. One thing real quick on the Phillies I want to get in here because I know you're a man for all seasons, Rob. Can you confirm or deny whether or not Bryce Harper is a mutant? Is he an android? How the hell is he going to play in a week and a half without any Any reps in the minors, no rehab assignment, just gonna go out there and play. How the hell is that possible?
I mean, we were talking about the All-Star break. It's not even May, and like he's going to visit the doctor in LA May 1st, and then if that guy signs off, he's playing, and then probably by in like August he's going to be playing first base. Like, what is happening? I don't know. I don't know how he doesn't go down for some reps. Now, you remember the last time he went down there for like 3 games and jacked like 3 home runs, and we're just like, what are we doing here? Just get it back up. I also think like guys like that have juice where they can just say, dude, I'm Bryce Harper. I'm not riding a bus from Lehigh Valley to Syracuse or wherever you might be shipping me to. We're not doing that. Okay, Bryce, I guess so. I think if it was somebody else, they'd be down there getting some rehab at bats.
I 1,000% agree. Rob, before we let you go, can I give you the Farzy 5? Every first-time guest on the show, which I'm ashamed to say, this is only your first time on the program. That's on me. I take full responsibility. Let me just get the band going here. Right. You guys have had off for a while now. Let's get you going here. Oh, all right, fellas. Let's bring it. Tribute to our friend, Big Daddy Graham, of course. All right, first or best job before you were in the media. Best job before you were in the media.
Craziest job. I'll switch it up a little. I hope that's not one of the 5.
Sure.
I am the least handy dude on the face of the earth. I worked for a contractor, and he handed me a jackhammer and said, break up this concrete. And I got on the thing, and it shot me off like I was on a trampoline. And the jackhammer went into the grass and started digging up the front lawn. And then I was never on the jackhammer after.
Wait, how old were you?
I was in college. I was like 18. I think it was freshman year of college. Yes.
Oh, I did not know that. That's amazing. And an insane mental picture. Favorite city to travel to?
Oh, Chicago. I love Chicago. But it can't be winter. I like Chicago in the summer or in the spring or in the fall, not in the winter. I love Chicago. Chicago's a lot of fun. So
hit up Wrigley. Yeah.
Well, Wrigleyville is awesome because there's a million bars and restaurants right outside of Wrigley Field. And Chicago people can get after it too. If you're looking to have some fun, it's fun.
Absolutely. You're a man, you're a healthy man, but when you do hit fast food, what's your fast food go-to?
Pizza's my number one. I'm a pizza guy. Then I would probably go wings. I'm a wingman. Okay. Even though it probably doesn't look like it, I am a wingman. But I go pizza, wings, cheesesteak. I'm not a hoagie guy for whatever reason. That would be my top 3.
Okay. In your dating days, for the young people out there, what was a first date deal breaker? What was a first date deal breaker for you?
Oh, boy. All right. So I would say a deal breaker would be if she's